Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be showing off Palafin, who has insane stats on par with Slacking, with the only drawback being that it has to switch in and back out again to get those stats. It can be tricky to set up, and it's a super telegraphed strategy, but if you can pull it off, you can end up with a lot of offensive power. And we're going to jump just right into our first match here. Our opponent leads off with Superior, as I open with my Earthworm. We have some worm-on-worm action this morning, and I just want to get my Stealth Rocks up. I know that they can't do a lot to me with Leaf Storms. I'm max special defense, and they do switch out, so I get my rocks up for free, basically. And they bring in Rayquaza, and the thing is, I'm not really scared of Rayquaza either. I know that it can't do a lot to me, and I'm immune to its Earthquake, and that's probably its only coverage for Steel type. So as I do get my rocks up, I'm not super pressured to leave, unless they have, like, Overheat or something, which is something I've seen, like, once. But I decide to stay in, try to get an Iron Defense up against this thing, and they do try to Earthquake me. Luckily, it doesn't affect me, and I get a free... I got my rocks up for free, and I get a +2 defense for free. But the thing is, I can't go for body presses here, as I know they have a Ghost type on their team in Ceruledge. And as they do make the smart switch here into Ceruledge, I clicked Heavy Slam, just kind of expecting that switch, and that's still not going to do a lot. But as they switch in, they come in, they are not heavy-duty boots, so they do take a bit from the rocks. And a Heavy Slam is going to do a little bit, about as much as the rocks. But I think about switching out here, but I'm at +2 defense, and I kind of want to see, if they try to set up here, then I'm like in trouble. So I do want to stay in and just try to get some more damage off. But they don't set up, they just go for a Bitter Blade, which does not even a third to me. And heals them back, get this, just a little bit, and then I have the Rocky Helmet, so they just take that damage right back. And after another Heavy Slam, it's not looking like another one is going to kill, so I don't want to stay in and do any more damage, but I know that this thing's not trying to set up or anything. So I switch into Entei pretty much for free here. I go right out, and then Entei comes in. I know I can take a couple attacks from this thing and finish it off. I know I have the crunch coverage. But they actually Terra here, so I am happy I switched. As they are going to be just the Terra Fire, which is going to boost up the Bitter Blade damage. It might have given them enough damage to kill my Earthworm with another hit, I'm not sure. But regardless, it doesn't matter because I have Entei. And as they do a Terra boosted Bitter Blade, it does just a little bit. It is about a fourth to me, not a whole lot. And they heal back, not a whole lot from that either. And I know that I outspeed this thing, and as long as it's not scarfed or anything. And the best I can do is Crunch, though. If it has Flash Fire, I can't hit it with any fire moves. And a Crunch does almost enough to kill it, but not enough. And then they get a big Shadow Claw off. But I know that one more Crunch is going to kill it. And they do get a little more chip here with a Priority Shadow Sneak, which does a little bit, brings me into the red. And a Crunch is going to just finish this off. Entei is kind of useless here, but I handled a pretty big threat on their side. And also their Terra, so now they can't Terra into anything else. So I'm kind of in a better position than them with that. And when they get a switch here, they bring in Darkrai. And I don't want to switch out on this thing just because I don't want it to set up. I don't want it to nasty plot or, you know, do anything. And I'm pretty sure that a Sacred Fire will just kill it. So I click Sacred Fire here just to kind of force them to kill me. Because now they can't set up or anything with it. And Entei is going to go down, but that's okay. We had the pressure that we needed. And I'm like, well, now this is a great time to get my Palafin in, because I am going to... You do have to bring it in and then bring it back out to get the superhero form. So I come in, and then I leave immediately. I kind of expect a Dark Pulse or something, but I think maybe it's choiced into Psychic. So I switch into Glowbert here, kind of hoping to take a Psychic. I can take one probably pretty well. This is a physically defensive Glowbert, so I can't take anything super well on the special side. And they do Dark Pulse, so they're not going to be choiced. And the Dark Pulse does a ton to me, because again, I'm not specially defensive. I heal a little bit from the leftovers, but I'm going to have to hard switch here as well. And I'm like, well, I know that if it Dark Pulses again, it's going to have to use Dark Pulse to kill me. I can definitely take at least one with my little hamster Morpeko here. And as I switch in to Gumbo, my White Ball, it is going to Dark Pulse here, which does a lot more than I thought it was going to do on a resisted hit. I am just a little hamster, and this is like a god of nightmares or whatever. But I decide here to Aura Wheel. I can try to get an Aura Wheel off, and then I'll be faster on the next turn so I can get another one off. But they Dark Pulse me again, and it gets the flinch. So I do flinch. I do kind of lose more Pico for nothing. I eat some more of my little cracker and become not hangry anymore, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be able to outspeed, and that's going to be enough. So now this Darkrai's kind of really, you know, putting the pressure on me. Darkrai has a lot of pressure. But now I know that with my Super Dolphin, I can come back in, and I have the super effective Drain Punch, which should be enough to just take this out. They are going to be able to get a hit off. I'm just hoping that they don't crit me with a Dark Pulse like they did on my little guy. So I come in, I am superheroed up, and a Drain Punch is going to be enough to finish this. They do outspeed me because this is Darkrai and get a Dark Pulse off, which does almost half. Luckily doesn't get the flinch. And they live the Drain Punch on 1 because of their Focus Band item, which lets you... as there's a 10% chance you live on 1 if you take a hit that was going to kill you. So it just barely lives. Luckily, I have the Drain Punch, the Jet Punch priority, so I can go first and just pick that last HP off. But wasn't that... that was a crazy thing to see. You never see an item like that. I don't have any bulk ups or anything, but I do have all the coverage in the world. And as they bring back in Superior here, this does outspeed me just naturally. And if they're max speed, they definitely outspeed me. And I don't want to take a Leaf Storm here, so I decided to use my Dragon Terra. I have that basically to help me resist with grass and water moves. It helps me 1v1 things like Superior really well when its only attacking move is usually, you know, Terra Blast and Leaf Storm. So I go ahead, I become a dragon. I think this Terra looks pretty cool. I like the head on this one. Very symmetrical. And I actually outspeed here, and I get a huge Ice Punch off, and I, you know, outspeeded. And they get a Leaf Storm, and resisted, that does barely nothing. It gives them the special attack boost, but now I'm actually, knowing that I'm faster, I can finish them off with a Drain Punch, but they do switch. Probably expecting, you know... They switch into Rayquaza here, and I just clicked Ice Punch on the last turn, so if I had clicked Ice Punch again, this Rayquaza would have just been sacked. But I didn't. I did click Drain Punch, and that's not going to kill it, but it does get me just a little bit of health back. And also, I know that I outspeed Rayquaza naturally. I'm base 100, which is faster than it feels sometimes. And one Ice Punch is definitely going to be enough to kill this Rayquaza. And that's going to take him down. And now, I don't even know if the Superior can come back in on the rocks, even. I don't even know. And as they bring in the one piece that's going to be their King Gambit, and they know that I have the Drain Punch, so I'm kind of expecting like a Sucker Punch or a Terra here, but I can't really bulk up in case they do click a move. So I do just click Drain Punch, and they don't even attack me. They just, I guess maybe they regular attack or try to set up or something, but one Drain Punch is going to be more than enough to kill this King Gambit. And just like that, you know, we're tearing through the team. We don't even need any bulk ups. We're just doing it off that base 160 attack, which is everything. And they bring in Umbral 34, gross. And I do just Drain Punch here. I don't know if I can kill it in 1, but I can definitely kill it in 2. But they decide to run. They decide to save the life of their Umbreon. And that just shows how much pressure you can put on just with no bulk ups or anything. You can just go right in on it. And that's going to bring us right into the next match. My opponent this time leads off with Staraptor. As I lead off with my dedicated Motom, kind of my Volt Switch pivot. But I know this thing is going to outspeed me if it's Scarfed. And these things usually are Scarfed leads. And it's going to get a big U-turn off, but I know that I can take one, and I do decide to just trick here, because whatever they go into probably doesn't want a Choice Scarf. And as they U-turn, it is going to switch them out. And I'm like, oh yeah, bring in whatever you want. I have this Scarf locked and loaded for whoever wants it. And they bring in Jolteon, which is perfect, because this is already a very fast Pokemon, does not need the Scarf, so now it is kind of useless. I give it the Choice Scarf, and I take its Air Balloon, which is useless to me because I have the Levitate ability. And I decide to stay in and try to go for a Leaf Storm. I know it'll get big damage if they don't kill me, but they do go over the Alluring Voice, which does kill me, unfortunately. Pops my Air Balloon that I just stole, and that's okay. We you know, traded the Motom for neutralizing this Jolteon, which is a big help. And I do decide to bring in Palafin here, because I know this thing's locked into Alluring Voice. I can switch, and I do need to switch out Palafin, so I can switch this back into my Steel type to take a neutral Alluring Voice. And they actually switch themselves, they hard switch. I kind of was expecting them to just stay in and try to Alluring Voice, but They do go into Gastrodon, probably expecting me to flip turn because they have Storm Drain, but I just hard switch. I don't even have flip turn on this. And as I bring in my worm, I want to get my rocks up, but I know that they have a Hatterene in the back, so I can't just go for the rocks. And they switch as I go for Iron Defense into the Hatterene, so they were expecting me to Stealth Rocks, which is lucky I didn't. And as I Iron Defense up, I know that I do outspeed Hatterene, and I can take a super effective Mystical Fire. I'm max Bidef and Calm on this, so I can take one super effective special attack from this probably. And as I almost kill it with a Heavy Slam, they go for a Trick Room, which is going to put them faster than me and kind of mix things up for a few turns. All slower Pokemon get to go first. So as I can finish this off with a Heavy Slam, they are going to be able to get an attack off on me. And I was just checking to see that nothing could be immune to a Heavy Slam or something. And they do Mystical Fire, which does over half. But I do take it pretty well, considering how low my special defense is. And I kill it with a Heavy Slam. So that's max Spadef Orthworm coming in for you. That base, it's low. It's like base 50 or something. Special defense can really go the distance for you. And as they bring in Gastrodon, now they don't have anything to bounce back the rocks, so I can get my rocks up here. And I imagine they try to get their rocks up, but they actually go for Muddy Water, which is funny. They want to just kill me, but I live it on 9. I'm max Spadef, so I do take it. I live it on 9, and I get my Stealth Rocks up. And I imagine that they're in probably to try to get their Stealth Rocks up or some kind of spikes or something, so I decide to go for a Body Press here. I'm like, well, Orthworm, thank you for the help. You really did it. And he is going to just go down here to another Muddy Water. But now I get to switch into whatever I want, and they have one turn of the Trick Room left, so nothing I have is going to be able to underspeed the Gastrodon. So I decide to bring in my Palafin here, and I can use this turn to sort of get just a bulk up off, because I know that they're not going to be able to kill me with one hit. And I do want to start getting my bulk ups in as fast as I can, because it is early in the match and I want to put the pressure on. So as they Earth Power here, they are going to outspeed because of that Trick Room. It does a bunch. It does a third. Doesn't get this Spadef drop, and I get a bulk up off, which is excellent. So they get that attack and defense boost. Sitting pretty strong now, and the dimensions go back to normal, so now I am going to outspeed this, and I want to get that health back. So I go for a Drain Punch. Even if the Rocky Helmet, I'm holding the Punching Glove item, which ignores contact effects like that. So they bring in Decidueye, probably expecting a water move or something, and the Drain Punch goes right through them. But luckily, I outspeed Decidueye. It's slow as hell, and I have Ice Punch. So I do outspeed, and a +1 Ice Punch is definitely going to be enough to handle Decidueye. I don't even think it's very physically defensive at all. I think Decidueye is more specially defensive. And they can bring in whatever they want. They do bring in the Jolteon, who comes back in, and he's going to take a little from the rocks. But the thing here is I'm like, well, I have the Terra Dragon to resist it and drain, and if they click an electric move while I Terra Dragon, I'll be able to take it excellent, and then I can probably finish it with a Drain Punch and get a bunch of health back. So I do become a dragon once more, and the Jolteon probably hopefully clicks Thunderbolt or something to try to damage me on the super effective side, and they go for a Thunder, which connects. Thank God does not paralyze me, and I am able to get a Drain Punch off, which does kill the Jolteon at +1. And that's going to give me just so much health back. That's going to be basically right back to before the Thunder. And that takes out the Jolteon, so it was like a free kill, basically. And they bring back in Staraptor, who comes in, and it does take a bunch from the rocks. We know that it's not Scarf, or we know that it is Scarfed, it's not Boots. And they get an Intimidate off, so now they are going to be able to live an attack. And I decided to just go for another bulk up here, because I'm thinking at +1 defense, I can probably live a Brave Bird pretty well. And they do go for it, and I do take it well. And it does a little bit back to them in the recoil, which is helpful, as I get back up to that +1, and now I'm at +2 defense. So now I'm pretty physically bulky. And I'm thinking that a +1 Jet Punch probably can kill this from where it's at now with the recoil from the Brave Bird. And it does, and luckily that handles the Staraptor. And it is it is coming out to it for them. This thing really gets out of hand pretty fast if you can get one bulk up in against a certain team. And they bring in Quaquaval, and it comes in. It is going to take a little from the rocks. And if they Aqua Step here, it'll be faster than me. But I do just Drain Punch because I want to get some health back. I know that I can't kill it, and it does a lot. And that is going to heal me back a lot. And check this out. I'm at +2 defense, and they do have the They do click Aqua Step here, so now they're going to be faster than me on the next turn. And I'm not going to be able to kill it with a Drain Punch, I don't think, or with a Jet Punch, I don't think, so I'm going to have to Drain Punch one more time. And they Ice Spinner now that they're faster than me. They're trying to pull this back. And at +2, I live it. On 25, it's not even that close. And I kill it with another Drain Punch. If I didn't get that first Drain Punch off, I wouldn't have had enough health to live that Ice Spinner. But I did, and I do. And that is going to take care of the Quackle Ball. So, like, the bulk ups are good because it makes you crazy offensive, and then you get all these defensive boosts with it. So it's like I'm at double defense now. And +1 attack, and all they have is this little Gastrodon who isn't going to be able to Rocky Helmet me if it is Rocky Helmet. They actually take that Drain Punch really well. I think maybe they must be physically defensive because I'm at +1. And they have the super effective Ice Beam coverage, which hits on the special side, brings me down to 4. They should have brought this guy in earlier. And they are probably going to be able to take another Drain Punch, I'm thinking, and take me out with... Yeah, another Drain Punch is going to fire off. They do live 2. They can take 2. So they could have gone into this a while ago. And I do Drain Punch it back, but that's not going to be enough to let me be healthy enough to take an Ice Beam. So... kind of a misplay on their end, saving that Gastrodon for last, because now I have a bunch of stuff to handle that. It is going to take care of my Palafin, but not before he shredded through that team like crazy. They heal a little with their leftovers. Oh, so they're not Rocky Helmet, I guess, leftover stuff. And I just had to take care of this, and what I have left is plenty. And I go into I decided to finish it off with Espeon here. You just have a little bit of health left. It's not gonna... They're not going to be able to save it, but they did take out the Palafin. That's kind of a win for them, is taking out the Palafin. And one Psyshock is going to just take this out. It must have been max special defense, right, on the Gastrodon to be able to take all those Drain Punches, but that was a good match, and that shows how the bulk ups can really help you on the defensive side too. And that's going to bring us right into our third match. Our next opponent decides to lead off with their Gengar. As I lead off with my Earthworm again, I just want to focus on getting my rocks up, but I imagine this lead Gengar probably is trying to get some spikes or something going, so I decided to switch. I know the Gengar gets Toxic Spikes into my Espeon. With my Magic Bounce ability, I can send any status effect back, as long as, hopefully they didn't click Shadow Ball, but they didn't click Shadow Ball, they clicked Toxic Spikes, and with my ability I just bounce this back. So now they have a layer of Toxic Spikes on their side, and it's a pretty good start. And if we're both timid max speed, we speed tie, but if not, I'm timid max speed, so I'm faster. And I go for a Psyshock here, which does bring this thing down to its Focus Sash. It is going to be the Sash lead, which is fine. They can take one, and they decide I take a little more for my Life Orb, and they decide to go for Toxic Spikes again. I don't know if they were expecting me to switch or thought it didn't work the first time, but I do bounce them back again. And now there's 2 layers of Toxic Spikes on their side, which doesn't help a whole lot in the fight, but it does, it is nice to have Toxic Poison on everything that switches in. And I decided to just finish him with the Shadow Ball here, because I didn't want to get my Stab Style Shock disabled if Curse Body proc, which it just did. So that is going to take them out. And now, we're sitting pretty good with Espeon. We got 2 layers of Toxic Spikes on their side, and, handled the Gengar. And as they get to switch into whatever they want, they decide to bring in Garganical. This is like one of the worst Pokemon in the game to face. I hate fighting this. I decide to stay in here and just try to chip it down as much as I can before I go down, because I know that Espeon is not getting out of this. I don't have Energy Ball or anything. I don't even know if this gets Energy Ball. And I do a little bit to it with a Psyshock, and they do a bunch to me back with Assault Cure, which is going to cure me with Assault at the end of every turn. They heal a little from their leftovers, making my Psyshock even less powerful, and yeah, that Assault Cure is gonna chip me a little bit, but I decided to stay in. I'm just gonna keep wailing on this thing and try to get it as low as I can for whatever I can bring in. And as I go for another Psyshock here, it is, gonna bring it just below half, which is nice. I take my Life Orb chip, and then they just finish it with a Body Press. Yeah, it is resisted, but this thing is so strong, and I'm so much weaker on the physical side, so it does take me out. And after this leftovers, it is going to be over half, which really sucks. I'm just hoping this thing doesn't have, like, Recover or something that'll be dangerous later. But I decided to get my Palafin switching out of the way here. I want to just handle this, you know, quick and now against this wall, so that later I can I can bring it out and actually be helpful in the match. And then I decided to switch it in on Morpeko. I kind of expect Morpeko to die. I kind of expect like a body press or something, and that's fine. I'm willing to lose it for a free switch. But they actually do recover, unfortunately. But at least now with Morpeko in for free, I can get a free, you know, stab knockoff, which is going to do maybe something, and also get rid of this thing's leftovers. And as I get hungry, I change my form, and I do just go for the stab knockoff. And I am going to outspeed because I'm very fast and this is very slow, but they are going to whip out their Terra on this turn. I don't know, to boost up Salt Cure damage, maybe. And they are going to Terra Rock, which, you know, is one of my favorite Terras to look at. I like the house they put on their head. And I outspeed, I get my knockoff here. And look at that, it did, with the crit it did a good bit, and it knocks off this thing's leftover, so I'm not going to be able to heal passively anymore. But a body press is going to take me out, unfortunately. And down goes Morpeko. But I'm thinking that with this thing low, you know, with the little bit of damage I have on it, I probably can bust through it now with my Azelf. And with no low leftover, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with without that passive recovery. And I know that I'm Sash and I can take anything this wants to throw at me. So I use my mystical power here. This is going to always give me a +1 on my special attack, but it is only 90% accurate, so you run the risk of missing it a lot. And they do actually just go for a Terra Salt Cure here, which is going to do a bunch to my poor little Azelf. Almost half. And now I am going to be salted again at the end of every turn. There I go. Get my salt on. But I know that I can finish this thing with an energy ball. And it did kind of tear up my team a little bit. It did kind of tear through almost half my team. But in that exchange, I got my Palafin for full form, which is kind of what I'm leaning into for my win con, as Azelf is not really going to be able to do it for us, and Espeon is now gone. I do take a little more from the Salt Cure. I am, you know, getting low from that. And as they send out Garchomp here, I'm like, well, I can get another +1 mystical power off. It comes in, it gets badly poisoned from the Toxic Spikes from the Gengar all that time ago. And I can get a pretty big mystical power off here. I won't be able to kill it, but they actually outspeed me, which reveals that this Garchomp is going to be a Scarfed Garchomp. So that is helpful in knowing that it is locked into Crunch now. It outsped me, but it is locked into Crunch. And they take a little more from their poison, and I'm thinking that I can get Palafin in now and start setting up pretty good, because I know that I can take attacks from this thing pretty well, especially since it's locked into Crunch, and I can start getting my bulk ups in. I come in, I am in my superhero form, and I do decide to just start bulking up. And they are going to stay in and go for a Crunch, probably just to check for damage. It doesn't do a lot, and doesn't get the defense drop. And now with my bulk up, I'm at +1 defense and +1 attack, and the Crunches are just going to get to do less and less damage every turn. And with Drain Punch, it does ignore, with my Punching Glove, it ignores Rough Skin, so I can just heal off of this if I need to. And I decided to get greedy and go for another bulk up as they switch. They are going to switch into their Mimikyu here, who comes in, and he does get badly poisoned, and that's pretty helpful. It's pretty good to have that. But as I go for my other bulk up here, now I'm at doubled attack and doubled defense. So this Mimikyu isn't going to really be able to scratch me on the physical side, and I am very threatening with priority jet punches. So I am going to have to hit this thing once to break its disguise, unfortunately, and it's going to be able to take any hit. I go for Drain Punches to get that out of the way. It does break its disguise. It is going to take a little chip from that. But now they have to Swords Dance or attack me, and they go for a Play Rough, and it misses, unfortunately. But I would have loved to see how much that would have done with my bulk ups with my 2 defense boosts. But they do take a little more from the poison, and a priority Jet Punch is going to outspeed. Even if they click Shadow Sneak, I'm going to go for the Jet Punch. And that just takes it out, which is perfect. We love to see it. And now with what they have left, I'm pretty confident in Palafin in the cleanup job now. We got that Garganical, and now we have our double attack, double speed Garganical. They bring in Baxcalibur now, and I haven't revealed that I have the Drain Punch coverage yet, so I can just go for that heal here, and that'll just heal me back to full. They are shocked by that. It just, you know, doubled attack. They're not taking that. Not never taking that. And that is going to take out the Baxcalibur and heal me back to full, and now I'm in a really good spot with Palafin. With full HP, I didn't even have to whip out my Dragon Terra today. And they bring in Ceruledge, who comes in and gets poisoned, and that will be important for later. Because I do have the priority Jet Punch here, which will always go first. And at doubled attack, that's more than enough to kill this guy. They can't tear out of that weakness to it. But they are Focus Sashed. So they do live it on 1. And they take this opportunity to go for a Swords Dance. They're trying to try to come back. They are on the back foot here a bit. But it's not going to be enough because then the poison just takes out that 1 last HP that they have. So that was... Thank you to their Gengar for all that help. And now all they have left is the Scarf Chomp from earlier. And I have not revealed that I have the Ice Punch coverage yet. So they probably think that I have, you know, nothing to hit them super effectively with, so they don't Terra. Or they can't Terra. And they go for an Outrage, and check that damage. That's barely anything. And then a 4-time super effective Ice Punch takes that out. I think that Outrage damage was laughable. That was like how much they did with the Crunch earlier. So that really shows you, when just 2 bulk ups and you're like out of control crazy. It's a really, really powerful defensive and offensive opportunity. And I don't play around with Ubers a lot except just to show them off like this, but this was a lot of fun. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.